I have no slides. Forgive me. I'm just going to talk and then hopefully field some really good questions. I help purchase software and have worked with many of you. And in a great partnership with MSUIT and General Counsel. A lot of this is spearheaded by them and supported by them. Many of you know that when we get requisitions for software, when somebody's considering a software purchase, we're looking at a number of things, right? We're looking at export compliance, we're looking at the agreement, we're looking at pricing, but we're also looking at accessibility and security. Those are two new review processes that are more structured than they have been in the past, and can add some time to the orders. When I get a requisition, I am going to be asking your departments for some additional information. They might be coming to you for support and answers to my questions, so I think it's really good for you to be aware of what I'm asking. I always ask, what is this and what does it do and how are you using it? Those aren't always readily obvious, right? SAP, business platform, right? But it's used for teaching in the business school. They aren't using it for what it's typically used for. That's important for me to know. And the answers might seem obvious. You know, I can't believe she doesn't know what Excel does. Yes, I do. I want to hear what the answers are. I want them written. I want to document them on that order, on that PO document, so that we don't have to ask them every single year. And people get a little cagey. It's funny. They're like, well, what's it to you? You know, so any information that they can give me is so appreciated. So what is this? What does it do? How are you using it? That answers a lot of questions for me. I might have some follow-up questions, but that's a really great start. Next question, how many each of students, faculty and staff, and members of the public will use this annually? I'm looking for a number. They can write me a paragraph, that's great, as long as it includes some numbers, some estimates. We don't always know, right? We don't always know how successful a program is going to be. Guess, estimate. That's really going to help me. I might follow up with, okay, is this required for coursework? Is this, I can't think of any follow-up questions, but I often have them. That's going to help me assess the accessibility risk based on guidelines I have received from General Counsel and Nate's group. Right? So if it's used by many, many people, many, many students, if it's required for coursework, if there are good accessible alternatives available, I might question, do you really need this exam proctoring software when we have 4 others that have been reviewed and negotiated? Could one of those work for you? So I might definitely have those follow-up questions. I quickly assess the risk, or we're not really saying risk anymore, are we? Priority. I assess the priority. So if it's really high priority, medium, high, depending on what it is, I might kick it over to Nate's group for review. That can take some time. They really take it from there. Nate and Phil and his team, they might want to play around with it. I might need to coordinate with the vendor to get them access. They might be contacting the end user to talk more about how they're going to be using it, what plans they have in place to accommodate people who have difficulty using it. I will more than likely, almost every time, have them sign what I call an EIT accessibility acknowledgement. You might have people coming to you saying, what is this? It's basically an educational tool, and it's used by us for documentation. They sign it. It is one of the few things they are allowed to sign. Encouraged to sign, and it says, I'm aware that this might not be fully accessible. I understand who to contact if somebody has difficulty using it. I attach that to the order as documentation that they understand that. Once it's all documented on the order, as long as the use case doesn't change drastically year to year, if I see 20,000 more licenses come through next year, I'm going to revisit it. But as long as the use case doesn't change drastically, that's attached to the PO notes. We're just carrying that through. I'm not going to be asking these things year to year necessarily. Most things are pretty low risk. They just go right through with that accessibility acknowledgement. It's a great vehicle to educate and move things along. Security is working much the same way. I'm going to be asking some screening questions. Based on those screening questions, get kicked out of the security group because they're the experts, not me. And they're determining whether they require what's called a security assessment. And it's a short 23-page questionnaire sent to the vendor. Vendors love them. They fill it out, they send it back with their documentation, it gets reviewed. Again, those get carried on year to year too. Year 2 of agreements, we just send a sheet to the vendor that says, has anything changed? If not, they sign it, we move right along. It's been a great partnership. It's given purchasing a lot of support by experts. Very few schools have these types of processes, and this level of support by expert teams, helping people understand what they're buying, understand how best to use it in a way that benefits them, benefits the university as a whole. Nobody wants MSU to be a headline for those kinds of reasons, right? So I think it's really making people more aware, and I think it's working really well. It can add some time to the purchase. We really encourage people to get purchases in as early as possible. I also encourage people to go through central purchasing. Go through me. I have a stack of business cards. Shoot me an email. Hey, we're looking at this. If you reach out to the different groups on campus, they might shoot you back to me anyway. It's really good to centralize it there and start with a requisition in KFS. That helps get it in queue, and it helps get all of those looked at concurrently, right? If you're kind of doing this, I can really kind of triage, and I can get all the reviews started at once to help keep things moving. And then it also gives me a really good understanding to know what language I need to get written into that agreement to protect you and to protect us. It might need accessibility language, and Nate and Phil are going to help me with that. It might need data security agreements. We have about 4 different types of agreements, right? We have small, medium, large to fit the product. It's going to help me get the right things in place. What questions can I answer? Because I know there are a lot of questions about this process. People don't love it. There are a lot of questions. Where did this come from? There's a DDC memo issued last year, like a year ago, April. But DDC memos don't always trickle where they need to, right? And there's just, I think MSU IT has done a really great job of getting a lot of information out about these processes, but they're still relatively new, and I'm here to help with any questions anybody has about any of them. Yes?
If the purchase is under $5,000, do we still have to contact you?
For purchases under $5,000, yes. It is an old purchase. The general wisdom in purchasing, low dollar means low risk, right? It's just not the case with software. I have many $0 agreements that take up a ton of time and resources and are often the most risky. Some of these there's some really great low-cost solutions out there. We all know that. They might not have paid the attention we need to. They didn't have the resources, and they might not have paid the attention we needed them to pay to accessibility and security. Even if you can put it through on a P card, still put in a requisition. Add a note to that requisition that you would like to pay for that with a P card. We're working through in purchasing. We're working through how to handle that in the most efficient way. My current way is I am going through the motions, and then I'm sending out an email. This has been through all of the reviews. You should feel very confident moving forward with your P card. Then I name it in the keyword description, name-P card, DQ-P card, Dropbox-P card. So my dream is for someday to be able to do a keyword search. You can search P card and see what I've reviewed for P card, right? You can say, oh, is Dropbox approved for that? Do a keyword search in the KFS field for Dropbox, and you see Dropbox-P card. You can open up that document. You can look at all of the notes and attachments. You can see what General Counsel said about the agreement. You can see what Information Security said about the security of the product and what data it is approved for, you can see what Nate and his team said about accessibility, and you can see the agreements that resulted. So, dollar amount, unfortunately, doesn't mean anything. Purchasing has signature authority. When you buy software, you are agreeing to a license agreement. Some people are agreeing to some pretty crazy things out there. And I'm happy to look through them before you click that I agree. Any other questions? Like I said, you guys are really well positioned to really support your departments in this. If they say, why is she asking me about this? What's going on? Please assure them I'm here to help. I'm here to coordinate. I'm here to really be that liaison between the department and the vendor and MSUIT in getting everything looked at. Yes?
Do you have any documentation on the purchasing website in regards to this? Because sometimes people that are new may not be believed by others, and it helps to have it to be able to say, and if you want to refer to this webpage directly from purchasing.
Definitely. So purchasing, we do have some information on our website. It's not amazing. Oh, the question, I'm sorry. The question was, is there any documentation on purchasing's website about this process to kind of lend it some validity and support it? We don't have as much as I'd like, and it's a little bit buried. We're working on it at the purchasing level, but that's okay because webaccess.msu.edu, it has the whole purchasing process in terms of accessibility, which is great. And you can also do a search for information security. There's the IDP, Institutional Data Policy, you can refer to in terms of the need to take a look at things in terms of the way we're using data. So there is definitely documentation when you search for it out there, and we're working on a software-specific purchasing workflow that's easier to find and a little more visible on purchasing's website. But we're not making these policies. Purchasing is not making these policies. What we're doing is we're helping to facilitate the review for these policies. So your best resources are going to be the MSUIT websites that are related.
Can I add something too? So specific to websites, purchasing does have a specific vendor network that they developed about a year or so ago. Jeff, you can check me on that date. That does outline that process a little bit. I don't know if you've seen that page, but
Yeah, and I use that page.
Okay.
I got caught up in, I think Kristin, you and I have shared some emails back and forth because I just wanted to buy an Excel spreadsheet for mailing to potential, like other healthcare entities, other doctors. And so it used to be, it was a physical book. Now they've changed it to deliver the spreadsheet to you, and it was a P card. And I went to purchase it and I thought, oh, I wonder if this should have went a different route. So I immediately started talking to our person in our department about contracts, got in contact with Kristin, and just, okay, what do I need to do now that I've done that? So just to be able, because I interact with so many different people that may do the same thing, it's nice to have some of those unusual, some documentation for some of those unusual things, because people are thinking, well, you spent more money, why can't I just buy this? Well, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
So the point that was made was that there were questions that came up with an unusual purchase. And unfortunately, these things can't cover everything. We buy such a broad range of things here. It's insane. I mean, software for the spawning habits of salmon. I can't even, very, very different things, right? It's hard. So basically, is there a license agreement associated with it? Probably. Is there anything to sign? Is there data involved? Are people using an interface? Those are going to be your questions. If the answer to that is yes, I really recommend reaching out to me.
And in terms of education, we did create one of these sheets you may not have seen. So I have them as handouts at the entrance. These are kind of meant exactly for what you're talking about. So educating folks within your college or department about the purchasing process, what kind of questions to expect, to prep for before you buy, those kind of things. So grab a stack of these before you leave if you want to hand them out. Hopefully they'll be helpful to you.
And please also let me know your timeline. I know some of you guys get thrown things at the very last minute, right? I get that. And we'll really work with you. And accessibility reviews, security reviews, I can get them to look at some things pretty quickly. I can get them to do some reviews in arrears if we absolutely have to. We can be flexible to an extent. Sometimes something might need to be held up depending on what it is, but let me know what you're looking at in terms of deadline, in terms of implications for the university if something isn't done extremely quickly. And I'll certainly advocate. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll leave a stack of business cards out so you can reach out to me and if anything comes into mind. Thank you.